Hello viewers and welcome to yet another live-action commentated match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today I'm pleased to present a video sent in by the gentleman situated to the left. It is Alexander Cimadon, whom in today's match has opted to play as the Astra Militarum faction powerhouse, Warlord Colonel Straken. And on the right we have a fellow named Troels Berthelsen, whom instead has selected to play as the Space Marines faction warlord Captain Cato Sicarius. We can readily see that our initiative token resides in the possession of our players situated to the right, and in assessing our opening layout of planets, planet number 1 is going to be Taurus, which rewards players for keeping their unit count lower than that of the opposition in the form of allowing them to draw 3 cards or generate 3 additional resources. Planet number 2 is going to be Ossus 4, which allows you to steal a resource from your opponent. Planet number 3 is going to be Planum, which allows you to move a target non-warlord unit from your HQ or a planet to a planet. And Barless is going to be planet number 4, which is the random card discard planet. Eloith is our 5th and final planet of this first round. It allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick one of those cards to be added to your hand, and then you rearrange the remaining 2 on the bottom of your deck in the order of your choice. Colonel Straken gives warrior and soldier trait units a +1 attack value bonus when they're fighting alongside him, and Captain Cato Sicarius to the right instead generates a resource token upon the destruction of an enemy unit at his location. A couple deploy actions have taken place. We see a Void Pirate put out by Cato to planet number 4. That's a potential 3 total cards reeled in, all from the same planet, and we dissimilarly saw a copy of Ammo Depot put into play into Colonel Straken's HQ. So as soon as Alexander hits 3 or fewer cards, that Orc ally support is going to allow him to generate an additional card, and that can be used as an action, so that could be a pretty powerful deploy stall. But we see a Vashia Trailblazer end up at planet number 2. It's a 2-cost, 2-command icon unit with the mobile keyword, so it's very safe from molestation at the hands of Colonel Straken. And it looks as though we also see a copy of the Cato Outpost put into play in Alexander's HQ. So for just one combat action that basically grants any unit an ephemeral +2 attack bonus. It only persists for the next individual attack, but it certainly serves to make Colonel Straken far less squishy a warlord, and considering both he and Cato have to be in the midst of combat to deal out really any considerable bit of damage to confer their either beneficial ability to their allied units or to just generate additional resources, they're basically both going to want to be in the thick of combat. So Cato Outpost really could make a considerable bit of difference there for Alexander, but a couple additional plays. Tactical Squad Cardenas to planet number 3 for our Space Marines player. It's a 2-cost 1/3 with area effect 1. Granted, we don't see a big swarm of Astra Militarum units in play yet, but if you look at those first 3 planets, they've all got green strongpoint type icons, and that means we could see this game conclude as early as planet number 3. So if it all comes down to some big decisive battle at that 3rd planet where Troels is going to be possessing the initiative token, having the ability to do area effect 1 could be monumentally effective when it comes to destroying some swarm of guardsman tokens or orc allies or cheap Astra Militarum units, any number of different effects there. But Evil Sunz Warbikers currently sitting at planet number 1. They've got a command icon. They'll be attacking for 4 the instant a warlord is present at that planet. Colonel Straken would make that 5, and Cato Outpost would instead make that a whopping 7 if both of those effects were together. But it looks as though Captain Cato Sicarius is going to go touchdown on planet number 1. Straken instead is at planet number 2. That means Cato is going to maintain the initiative, potentially kill off that Evil Sunz Warbikers, and if he's not able to do so in one fell swoop, note that he does not have the Talisarian Tempest Blade attached. He's looking to be taking a potential swing of 6 in return thanks to that outpost, but planet number 1 is going to be 1 card and a resource there to the right for Cato. Planet number 2 is going to be 2 resources for Colonel Straken. Note that that Vashia Trailblazer is relocated to planet number 1. Planet number 3 is going to be 1 card, 1 resource for Cato, and planet number 4 is going to be an incredible 3 cards for Captain Cato Sicarius. And considering that Cato himself is certain to generate a wealth of resources over the course of this match, when you're fighting against low HP allied orc units, when you're fighting AM units that have very paltry amounts of HP indeed, Cato's going to generate a significant surplus of resources, and if you've got card income to back that up, that's a very potent combination there. But it looks as though we end up seeing a copy of Preemptive Barrage not actually played, because it's not going to be able to affect Astra Militarum units, so perhaps it was just being revealed as shields. We do see Cato take a swing, and there we go. That's going to be the Preemptive Barrage, negating that damage entirely. Looks as though we can spy at least a couple shield cards in Cato's hand, and it looks as though he's holding on to a copy of Indomitable as well, so that Iron Halo is going to afford him 2 shield icons. That Indomitable is going to be able to negate an attack entirely, and let's see it. That's presumably going to be the Catachan Outpost, augmenting the Evil Sun's Warbiker to a total swing of 6. I suppose you might as well take that risk, get your opponent to discard that shield card, get your opponent to throw away that copy of Indomitable. Here we go. We're going to see the Catachan Outpost. Note that that ammo depot was exhausted so that Alexander could draw an additional card, perhaps give him some sort of additional combat trick. There's no enemy unit present at Colonel Straken's planet, which is a little bit of a shame. Looks as though he was able to conveniently shut down the 2 resource gain from that Vashyah Trailblazer, but of course, as it's a mobile unit, it didn't hang around for Straken to destroy it, and it looks as though that's going to be that copy of Indomitable, negating that swing of 6 entirely, so Cato could, of course, go fearlessly into combat there. That's going to be an eager recruit taking a swing at the Evil Sun's Warbiker, and that's a second copy of Preemptive Barrage. That's definitely not something you see every day, is 2 shield icon cards discarded in the first round. And talk about things you don't see every day, that's going to be a second copy of the eager recruit, and that means that it's cost him certainly a significant number of resources, but the Evil Sun's Warbiker is destroyed, and that's going to be a +1 resource there for Captain Cato Sicarius. But we see an Elysian Assault team drop into play. That's going to be yet another 2 shield icon card. That's 2 arms readying the Catachan Outpost. That's going to be that Elysian Assault team attacking at Cato for 4. And is there going to be anything that our Space Marine is going to be doing about it? He's got a copy of Iron Halo in his hand. Holy mother of hell, have we seen Alexander use a lot of 2 shield icon cards and gotten rid of just a lot of incredible events. But that's going to be the Nocturne Ultima Stormbolter discarded, and then at the end of the combat round there, that's still going to be the Vashyah Trailblazer taking a swing and killing off that Elysian Assault team prior to its opportunity to retreat. Definitely with those 2 eager recruits dropped into play, there is no way in hell that Cato is going to be able to activate Taurus's battle ability, but he did generate 1 resource from killing off the Evil Sun's Warbiker and an additional resource from killing the Elysian Assault team, but Ossus 4 did trigger to help mitigate some of that economic advantage that Captain Cato Sicarius is accruing in allowing Alexander to steal 1 resource. But that's going to be that battle over with, and that is going to be the round, boys and girls. So headquarters phase is going to be occurring. That's 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players, and thank goodness for Alexander's sake that he's got that ammo depot, because he is most definitely at a dearth of cards in his hand, and it looks as though he happened to stumble upon another copy of that depot. So Cato's still got a fair few things in hand. We saw a copy of the Nocturne Ultima Stormbolter discarded to ensure that Cato only ended up taking a total of 2 points of damage instead of the potential 4, because the Assault Team plus Outpost. And now it looks as though our 5th planet is going to be Aatrox Prime, so you basically pick and choose an adjacent planet or a target player's HQ, and then you bombard it for 1 point of damage. I can only imagine that our Space Marine might be going to that first planet, or perhaps not, as we see a Blood Angels veterans deployed to that planet. For Alexander, he triggers an ammo depot. He's put another copy of ammo depot into play, so that's going to give him a fantastic opportunity to just, kind of stall out his opposition position when it comes to actions, and it looks as though Cato has already passed, which is just incredible. But that Blood Angels Veterans is a 3/3. Note that the initiative token is not in the possession of our Space Marines player, and that means that the Blood Angels Veterans, if it doesn't get to attack first, it's going to be able to prevent 1 point of damage each and every time it is dealt damage until the point when it does end up exhausted. But a couple of units here from Alexander. We see the 1/1 ranged keyword Rattling Deadeye at planet number 1. Catachan Outpost can mean that it will threaten 3, but that's not going to be enough to potentially kill off the Blood Angels Veterans due to its reaction ability of shaving off 1 point of damage, and Captain Cato Sicarius need not even shield to mitigate that effect. But we also see a copy of Straken's command squad situated at planet number 1. They're going to be a 2/2 soldier unit. They've got the copy of the signature attachment Straken's Cunning affixed to them, so they're attacking for a +1 bonus, and as soon as the attached unit leaves play, that's going to be 3 additional cards for Alexander, which he could desperately need. But Cato's going to go to planet number 5, perhaps presuming that Alexander was going to bully the bejesus out of the first planet, end up with units in his HQ, and Straken instead is going to go to Planum to relocate one of his units, presumably either the Deadeye or the Command Squad, though the ranged keyword's going to be very important to relocate, even, I guess you could say, especially considering Cato's going to have the initiative token next turn. But in any case, planet number 1 is going to be a dead tie. Well, sorry, planet number 1 is going to be 2 resources for Alexander. Planet number 2 is going to be 1 card, 1 resource for Alexander. Planet 3 is another colossal 3 cards for Cato. Planet 4, 2 cards for Cato. Sorry, Planet 5 is 1 card, 1 resource for Cato, and then during the combat phase, the Vashial Trailblazer, which showed up at Planet 5 exhausted, moved to Planet 4. But we're going to see the Rattling Deadeye exhaust to take a swing at the Blood Angels Veterans. It, of course, does no damage whatsoever. Straken's Command Squad, and this is interesting, we've not seen the Catachan Outpost used, but that unit is going to be exhausted, so Straken's Command Squad is going to be swinging for a total of 3. We could have seen that increase to 5, and it still would have been possible for our Space Marine player to shield, but I guess Straken is wanting to hold on to that Catachan Outpost, perhaps in case of emergency, like maybe to kill off the Tactical Squad Cardenas, but maybe just in case something scary like a Drop Pod Assault ends up getting deployed to planet number 2. But looks as though we finally see that copy of Iron Halo discarded as shields. That's 3, -1, -2 is going to be a grand total of 0. Straken's Command Squad is going to leave play. That signature attachment's going to trigger. That's 3 cards drawn by Alexander, and that's going to be a 1/2 soldier guardsman token put into play as well. So I'm not really sure if Cato's going to have the opportunity to do much at Aatrox Prime. That was kind of an interesting commitment choice based solely upon the fact that he's going to drop off those 2 eager recruits there. I can't imagine this game's going to end up going to planet number 5. We're going to see the end of a combat round occur at planet number 1, and perhaps Alexander chose not to generate that guardsman token upon the command squad leaving play at a planet. I'm not exactly sure why he wouldn't want to do so. Taurus is no longer on the battlefield, but I guess in any case, at the end of the combat round, that's going to be that Rattling Deadeye exhausted, and I suppose if he was just thinking of running away anyway, there really wouldn't have been any good reason for him not to benefit from some guardsman token now sitting in his HQ, presumably exhausted, but oh well, reactions are optional. That's going to be the Catachan Outpost boosting Colonel Straken to an attack value of 4, and he's able to quite handily destroy that copy of Tactical Squad Cardenas. Planum is going to be triggered. Its only eligible target is going to be that Rattling Deadeye, now positioned at planet number 1. Note that that's going to be 2 green strongpoint type planets for Captain Cato Sicarius to the right there, and even though he doesn't doesn't have much in the way of combat units, he certainly is able to outcompete Colonel Straken in regard to capable combat units, at least at present. If Cato does go to that first planet, he'll be showing up with the Blood Angels veterans exhausted. He will have the initiative token even if Straken shows up to that planet himself, but because the Blood Angels are exhausted, they're not going to be able to shave off a point of damage, so the Rattling Deadeye is going to be able to take a shot and kill them off with the assistance of the Catachan outpost, but our headquarters phase is come and gone. That's, of course, 4 resources and 2 cards for both of our players. And now our new 5th, final planet of the game, actually, is going to be Karnath, the planet which allows any player to trigger the battle ability of any other planet in play. Interestingly, the first action of our Space Marines player is going to be a copy of the Imperial 5th Siege Force put out to planet number 1. That's the victory condition for Captain Cato Sicarius. It's a 2/2. When it's put into play, you can rout any number of target ally units at that planet. I do not believe that the Rattling Deadeye has any trait other than, like, Abhuman and Scout, I believe, are what they've got. We see a copy of the signature arm unit Sicarius has chosen put out into play at planet number 2, and upon entering play, they basically pick a unit, they deal it a point of damage, and they pull it to their planet, and that's going to be a dead Rattling Deadeye, because we do not see cards used as shields. But a copy of Evil Sun's Warbiker is going to be put out to planet number 1. That's going to be another little piece of unit that Alexander could potentially use to block Troels from being able to win the game at that planet, because it's all potentially going to come down to planet number 1. If Captain Cato Sicarius is a little bit greedy, he could simply deploy heavily upon that planet, but he's kind of run out of resource tokens in order to be able to do so, and it looks as though Alexander is trying to shore up his areas of weakness in deploying some additional units to planet number 2 in addition to planet number 1. And note that as we start to see those ammo depots fire off, we're starting to see the board here flooded with units. So Alexander's not only got to try to block planet number 1, but if Cato shows up to planet number 2 with that Blood Angels veterans, were it not for those 3 combat units that Alexander just put out, that could have allowed Cato a great opportunity to set up to win the game on the following round. But in regard to units, we saw at planets 1 and 2, 1 copy at each location of the Shoot 'em Mob. It's a 1 command icon, 2 attack, 1 hit point orc unit that just costs 1. We also saw a copy of the Mystic Warden. It's a 2/2 for nothing, and as soon as a combat at its planet ends, then it ends up being sacrificed. And we also saw a copy of the Stalwart Ogren, which is a 2/2, another Abhuman like the Rattling that is entirely immune to enemy events. So Straken goes to planet number 1. That's going to be 1 card, 1 resource for him. Planet number 2 is going to be Captain Cato Sicarius's Place of Commitment. That's going to be 2 cards plus a card, because that Void Pirate for him. Planet 3 is 2 cards for Cato. Planet 4 is going to be a whole lot of nothing, because those Eagle Recruits have no command icons, so you get nothing, you lose. Goodbye, sir. But we're going to see combats at planet number 1 and planet number 2. Straken, of course, steals the initiative at the first planet, and now it's a bit of a damn shame that he's got so many units all piled upon that planet, because they're going to be showing up during the following round exhausted. And I note at least 2 resource tokens there for Captain Cato Sicarius. So Cato's undoubtedly going to be killing off some units when he has the chance to go into combat. Hopefully he won't end up bloodied himself, but he's got the Sicarius' chosen to, help him out as backup. But each and every enemy unit killed could buy him another Eagle Recruit. It could buy him another Indomitable. It could help him do a drop pod assault. There are any number of deleterious different card effects that could absolutely ruin Alexander's day. But the Rattling Deadeye has dealt 1 point of damage to that Imperial 5th Siege Force, and the Shoot 'em Mob follows it up. It is now killed. Note that the Evil Sun's Warbiker did not attack. I can only imagine that was just in case there's a drop pod assault. We would want the Warbiker ready to be able to kill off that unit potentially, and just as well, looks like Alexander's going to capture Planum, and in doing so, he triggers that battle ability, and that's going to be an Evil Sun's Warbiker relocated to planet number 2. So very well played here by Alexander. Let's see what exactly Cato's going to be able to do to tried to destroy our orc player, or sorry, our Astra Militarum orc allied player here. So Cato's got the initiative token. There are no ranged units of the Astra Militarum, but Alexander's been waving that third final copy of Preemptive Barrage in front of the camera for the past 8 minutes or so. So let's see if he chooses to deploy that event or not. Looks as though he does have at least one resource token there, which is now entirely obscured by his hand. Cato himself has got that 2/3 signature unit. That is going to be it. That's going to be the Preemptive Barrage triggered on both of our AM units. The Stalwart Ogren could be a fantastic target for that effect. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter too much in this case, but the Stalwart Ogren's not going to be able to fall prey to the things along the lines of Archon's Terror and things of that nature, but you don't really have to worry about that for Space Marines. So the Stalwart Ogren is going to be augmented by Catachan Outpost to a whopping attack power of 4. That is going to be another copy of, I believe, Indomitable. Yep, one resource played out, and that is 0 damage taken by our formidable Space Marine. So is there anything that the Ultramarines cannot do? I hypothesize that there is not. There's another copy of 2 arms. That's going to be 5 2-shield icon cards, and not a whole hell of a lot of cards. So the Catachan Outpost is now once again ready, and the Mystic Warden is going to take a swing at Captain Cato Sicarius, and he is nigh upon invincible. I believe that was a copy of the signature attachment, the Talisarian Tempest Blade, that we saw discarded as shields, and that's going to be a mere 1 point of damage upon Captain Cato Sicarius. Granted, he's down 2 cards, but he was able to basically mitigate, well, not mitigate, completely block off 4 points of damage and then drop a 4 swing to 1. So Cato is looking pretty good, and this is going to be his opportunity to demonstrate his quality. Will he be able to kill off the Evil Sun's Warbiker or not? Sicarius' Chosen takes a swing of an almighty 2. If we do not see a shield icon, there we go. That's going to be a glorious intervention. So is it going to be discarded as shields, or are we going to see some kind of other effect? So the way that this event works is you prevent an attack, but you sacrifice a warrior or soldier trait unit in order to do so. The Mystic Warden itself is a psyker, but the Stalwart Ogren is a warrior and it's exhausted. Sacrifice does not count as destroyed. So that might conveniently deprive Cato of 1 resource. So I guess the other big benefit of Glorious Intervention there is you get to pick a target enemy army unit, perhaps a token, but at the very least army unit, and you deal damage to it equal to the printed unit's attack. So Colonel Straken's attack boost doesn't augment it. Of course, Catachan Outpost only affects attacks, limit, that one next attack, and then Straken's Cunning that is now long dead and gone, that wouldn't help either, but I can only imagine that with all this, yep, that's going to be the copy of the Stalwart Ogren, so that's going to be the attack directed toward the Evil Sun's Warbiker negated, and that's going to be a potential 2 points of damage being dealt out to the 2/3 Sicarius' Chosen. So it's a pretty resilient unit, but what exactly are we going to see? Are there more shield cards in our Space Marine player's hand? That looks suspiciously like an eager recruit that I can kind of spy on the top of his visible hand there. Nope, that looks like it's going to be a total of 2 damage tokens, but, whether you've got your entire hit points worth, your entire pool of hit points worth of damage -1, units are just as effective as ever until they are eventually destroyed, and it's looking like Alexander's run fresh out of units. His Evil Sun's Warbiker does manage to land a hit upon Captain Cato Sicarius there, but Cato's still 1 damage token away from being bloodied. I missed if there was a shield card discarded just now. So Cato himself, that's going to be something or other discarded as shields. And Cato is still hale, so looks as though we're going to come to the end of the combat round here, unless we see some manner of Space Marines faction trick. and as soon as Cato's going to be able to escape, that is a drop pod assault right there. So what exactly are we going to see? Our Space Marine is going to take a peek at the top 6 cards of his deck. I can only imagine he's running a veritable wealth of different Space Marine units. He's allied with Tau, so maybe he's got Vashia Trailblazers and Earthcast Technicians. He's clearly got Void Pirates. I don't know if he has Rogue Traders or not, but it's basically going to be a lot of Space Marines faction units. For all I know, it could be more copies of Blood Angels Veterans, and indeed it ends up being exactly that. So we could have seen an Honored Librarian, or judging by the expansion set that these gentlemen are using, I'm not exactly sure if we could have seen a White Scars Bikers or not. But that Blood Angels Veterans, of course, enters play entirely unexhausted. The Blood Angels kill off a unit. And then we see that the third Eagle Recruit also touch down on the table, and that is going to handily wipe the board there. So that Shoot-'em-Mob is dead. The Mystic Warden is dead. That's a total of 2 additional resources there for Straken, and that's going to be 3 units dead upon that planet, and that was going to be 3 resources there for Captain Cato Sicarius. And now look how well he is set up at a planet which could potentially win him the game. So we're going to be moving into our presumably final HQ phase here. That's 4 resources and 2 cards for both of these players. Cato himself is in an HQ all alone. That means he could go to planet number 4 to just ensure that he ends up winning enough resources and cards to, play any number of nasty mid-combat tricks like drop pod assaults, whatever else. Those Void Pirates at Baharroth, the one Void Pirate at Baharroth has been putting in a tremendous amount of work, just generating card bonuses for days. Cato himself could show up at that planet, maybe generate some resources. Note that Alexander does have the initiative token, but he is staring down a whole hell of a lot of Space Marine opposition, and if Cato shows up at that planet, he's still going to be able to attack for 2, and he's going to be, yet another instance of a unit that needs 1 attack in order to be dispatched. If there's anything that the Astra Militarum and the Orcs aren't necessarily good at, it's going to be area effect. Nobody runs Mordian Hellhound nowadays, so I can only imagine that we are not going to be seeing that deployed at planet number 1 only to conveniently kill off, like the Void Pirate, the Eagle Recruit, potentially Sicarius is chosen. We see both ammo depots activated. We see a copy of 2 arms played. I believe that's the 3rd one, to ready a copy of ammo depot just to get as many units as possible, as many cards as possible into Alexander's hand, and I believe he's played 6 2-shield icon cards, and that I can only imagine that's going to be all of them in his entire deck. But a Stalwart Ogren put out to planet number 1, a Mystic Warden put out to planet number 1. Looks as though Cato did decide to go to planet number 4 to get that additional card and additional resource, and Alexander's able to seal the deal in regard to maintaining initiative at planet 1, just because the enemy Warlord didn't show up, but because Straken himself is at planet number 1, he'd have been able to win initiative regardless, because he's holding on to that token. But planet number 1 is going to be 2 cards for Alexander. That Void Pirate for once isn't able to generate an additional resource. Note that we saw a copy of Honored Librarian put out into play at planet number 1, and that is just going to play hell on Colonel Straken completely. Planet number 2 is going to be 2 cards to the right for Troels, and planet number 3 and 4 combined are going to be a grand total of 2 cards and 2 resources, because we did see an Eagle Recruit promoted at some point. I do not believe that I mentioned that, but battle is going to erupt at planet number 1, and unless Alexander can prevent his opposition from winning at this planet, and I would be shocked if he's going to be able to do so, that's going to be the game right here. So we see the Stalwart Ogren, which is going to be augmented, not by anabolic steroids, but instead a Catachan outpost. Maybe they're juicing in that outpost. Who knows? What else are you going to do when you're in some giant death world of a jungle? But the Stalwart Ogren's going to be swinging for 4, and it looks as though its target was a Blood Angels veteran. So we saw some 1 shield icon card discarded, and that means that Blood Angels veterans that's still sitting at 1 hit point is going to be just as able as ever to deal out 3 points of damage. Sicarius is chosen, currently a 2-1 unit's going to take a swing, kill off that ready copy of Mystic Warden, and now that's going to be Looks as though that shoot-em-mob showed up alongside Straken exhausted. That's going to be Colonel Straken himself taking a swing at something. That discard pile is now out of my view. I can't quite tell if Straken managed to kill an eager recruit or what that ended up being, but now it's going to be our Space Marine player's turn to just run amok, and it looks as though we're just kind of speeding things along. So Colonel Straken, it looks as though he's on his bloodied side at present. The stalwart Ogren ends up leaving play, and that's going to be a copy of the Elysian Assault team. Now that all these Space Marine faction units are bloodied, that they're exhausted. Note that that Honored Librarian and a Blood Angels veterans would have made quick work indeed of Colonel Straken, and it looks as though that is presumably a 2-shield icon card, just because I'm not seeing any dead Space Marine faction units, so that Elysian Assault team, despite dropping into play, was not able to opportunistically kill off one of these Space Marines. There's a 1-1, a 2-1, and a 2-1 on Alexander's side. Note that he does indeed have the initiative. That's going to be a copy of the shoot-em-mob taking a swing. That is going to be the Sicarius is chosen dead. That's a 2-1 unit now gone. The Honored Librarian takes a swing at the ready Elysian Assault team, and now things are looking all but just over with for Alexander. That's a 2-1 dead. The Rattling Deadeye takes one last pot shot, kills off that Void Pirate. That's going to be a Blood Angels veterans killing that shoot-em-mob, and that's going to be the second copy of Blood Angels veterans killing off that Rattling Deadeye. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the game. So GG, very well played by both of our players. Congratulations to Troels Berthelsen for managing to best Alexander Cimadon, but of course, thank you to Alexander as always for providing me with this footage today. Thank you at home for watching. I very much hope you enjoyed this video. It's always a delight to see Colonel Straken seeing a little bit of combat, and especially now that we've seen Broderick War, hopefully our original Astra Militarum faction warlord won't be entirely relegated to the binder. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this content, I would encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, I always encourage you to share this content, as the more people are out there that stumble upon Conquest, the more people may try the game, enjoy what they experience, someday end up joining our community, and of course, all together we continue to send the message to Fantasy Flight Games to continue to support this fantastic product. If at any point you'd like to get in touch with me, I would encourage you to do so through Facebook or on Twitter, and just like Alexander Cimadon, if you'd ever be interested in sending me some footage of your own, I would be absolutely honored to commentate it and host it upon my channel. And considering that shortly I'm going to be busier than ever before, I'm going to definitely be in a dearth of videos, and it's going to be up to viewers just like you to help keep this channel alive. If at any point you'd like to help support the Hive Tyrant, I would very much encourage you to investigate my Patreon, as each contribution and each donation, even $1 a month, just very much helps to keep this channel going. So once again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and as always, be sure to check back in again soon for ever more Conquest LCG content to come.